The vast expanse of space stretched endlessly before the ESS Dauntless as it hung in the neutral zone between Earth and the assembled Galactic Council fleet. Admiral Hansol's weathered hands rested on the polished command rail, his knuckles white with tension as he watched the alien ships through the bridge's panoramic viewport. Each vessel in the Council's diplomatic fleet dwarfed the Dauntless, their sleek designs making Earth's most advanced ship look like a primitive craft in comparison. The ship's sensors detected movement. A shuttle departed from the Council's flagship, its iridescent hull catching the light of a distant star. Lieutenant Ji Woo stepped closer to Hansol's side, her tablet displaying the incoming vessel's readings. "Their shuttle is following the agreed approach vector, Admiral," she reported, her voice steady despite the historic nature of the moment. "First contact protocols are proceeding as planned." Hansol nodded, his face a mask of calm that belied the rapid beating of his heart. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for centuries, proof that they weren't alone in the universe. Now that it had arrived, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about the Council's eager response to Earth's deep space signals. The docking procedure went smoothly, almost too smoothly. The alien technology merged perfectly with Earth's systems, suggesting they had studied human engineering extensively before making contact. The thought made Hansol uneasy. When the airlock cycled open, the bridge crew got their first look at Ambassador Catrill. The alien stood nearly 3 meters tall, its amphibianoid form rippling with colors that shifted between deep blues and greens. Multiple arms moved with fluid grace as it stepped onto the bridge, followed by a delegation of various species that seemed to represent the Council's diversity. "Welcome aboard the ESS Dauntless," Hansol said, activating the universal translator that Earth's scientists had hurriedly developed based on the Council's transmitted language data. Catrill's large, multifaceted eyes studied the humans with an intensity that made several crew members shift uncomfortably. The ambassador's personal translator, a small floating orb, processed his response. "Your hospitality is noted, Admiral Hansol of Earth," the machine chirped. "We have conducted our preliminary assessment of your world and its inhabitants. The results are most interesting." The way Catrill's secondary arms twitched made Hansol's combat instincts flare. 20 years of military service had taught him to read body language, and even on an alien, he recognized the subtle signs of someone trying to hide their true reactions. "We classify worlds based on their habitability and the evolutionary pressures they place on native species," Catrill continued. "Earth has been designated as a Class 13 death world." Murmurs spread through the bridge crew. Ji Woo quickly pulled up the classification scale on her tablet. Class 13 was nearly off the charts, with most Council worlds falling between Class 3 and Class 7. "Your species evolved on a planet that should have killed you," Catrill's translator chirped. "The gravity alone would crush most sentient life. The temperature variations are extreme. Your atmosphere is corrosive. The wildlife is exceptionally aggressive. That you not only survived but achieved spaceflight is remarkable." Hansol noticed how the other alien delegates kept their distance, their postures suggesting a mixture of fear and disgust. "We consider Earth's challenges to be the forge that shaped humanity," he responded diplomatically. Indeed, Catrill's skin rippled with patterns that the translator didn't interpret. "This is precisely why we have come. Your species clearly has potential, but you need guidance to join galactic civilization properly. We offer protection and assistance in exchange for reasonable trade considerations." Ji Woo stepped forward with the preliminary agreement that had been transmitted ahead of the meeting. Hansol took the tablet, scanning the terms once more. The document was complex, filled with references to Council laws and regulations that Earth's lawyers were still struggling to fully understand. "The terms seem rather one-sided," Hansol observed carefully. "Earth would be required to export significant resources while accepting strict limitations on our military development. Standard procedures for integrating Deathworld species." Catrill dismissed the concern with a wave of his upper right arm. Your natural aggression must be properly channeled. We have considerable experience in these matters. Han Sol caught Ji Woo's subtle headshake. She had spotted more concerning clauses during her analysis. But Earth's political leadership had been clear. They needed this alliance. Humanity was alone in a galaxy they barely understood. And the Council's technology could advance Earth's development by centuries. With careful deliberation, Han Sol pressed his thumb to the biometric signature box. The document flashed green, accepting his authority as Earth's designated representative. As he looked up, he caught a movement that would haunt him for years to come. Catral's mandibles twitched in a particular way, a gesture that translated training hadn't covered. But Han Sol had seen similar expressions before, in the faces of opponents who thought they had successfully sprung a trap. "Welcome to the Galactic Council, humans," Catral announced, his translator failing to mask the smugness in his harmonic speech. "We look forward to a long and productive relationship." The alien delegation departed as smoothly as they had arrived, leaving behind a sense of unease that permeated the bridge. Ji Woo moved closer to Han Sol, speaking softly so only he could hear. "Sir, I've been analyzing their behavioral patterns, the way they reacted to us, their body language. They're afraid of us, but not in the way they're showing." Han Sol nodded slightly. "They're afraid of what we might become, not what we are. That's why they're so eager to bind us with treaties now, while they think we're primitive." He turned to watch the alien shuttle return to its mothership, his mind already working through the implications. Humanity had just taken its first step into a larger universe, but Han Sol couldn't shake the feeling that they had just been maneuvered into a game where they didn't know all the rules. "Log this meeting in the classified archives," he ordered Ji Woo, "and add a personal note. The day Earth joined the Galactic Council may be celebrated in public, but in private, we need to prepare. Something tells me we're going to need every advantage our Deathworld heritage gave us." The morning sun cast long shadows across the Trade Ministry's conference room in Seoul as Do-hyun stared at the holographic projections floating above the table. Red indicators blinked everywhere, showing failing trade routes and collapsing markets. His hands trembled slightly as he reached for his coffee, the dark circles under his eyes betraying sleepless nights spent trying to salvage Earth's economy. Colonel Sun Mai entered the room quietly, her military uniform a stark contrast to the business attire of the economic advisors gathered around the table. She carried herself with the rigid posture of someone bearing bad news, but trying to maintain composure. "Minister, you need to see this immediately," she said, her voice tight with controlled anger. The colonel placed a secure datapad on the table, its screen displaying classified intelligence markings. Do-hyun dismissed the other advisors with a wave of his hand. Once the room cleared, Sun Mai activated the datapad's holographic projector. A new set of images appeared, showing a secret meeting aboard a council space station. "Our deep space surveillance drones captured this yesterday," Sun Mai explained. "The council representatives didn't know about our stealth technology. They thought they were speaking privately." The recording showed Ambassador Catral lounging in what appeared to be a luxury chamber, surrounded by representatives from various council species. Their mandibles and tentacles moved in expressions of amusement as they discussed Earth's mounting economic crisis. The Deathworlders are so focused on physical threats, they never saw the financial trap. Catral's translated voice oozed satisfaction. Their military leaders expected violence, but they don't understand subtle warfare. Do-hyun's jaw clenched as he watched the aliens laugh at humanity's expense. Another council member, a crystalline being, chimed in. "The resource exchange rates we set are bleeding their economy dry. They're so eager to prove themselves worthy of galactic society, they accept any terms we present." The recording continued, showing detailed maps of Earth's trade routes. The council had systematically targeted each one, using complex legal maneuvers and hidden clauses in the original agreement to undermine human commerce. What looked like simple trade deals were actually carefully crafted traps. "Look at these numbers," Do-hyun said, pulling up his own data alongside the recording. They're paying us 1/10 the galactic standard for rare Earth elements, but charging us premium rates for basic technology. The loopholes in the agreement let them change the exchange rates at will. Sun Mi nodded grimly. There's more. Watch this part. The hologram shifted to show Cottrell addressing a smaller group of high-ranking council members. Once their economy is sufficiently weakened, we'll implement Phase 2. The humans will be forced to accept emergency assistance, with new terms that will permanently limit their development. A Class 13 Deathworld species cannot be allowed to reach its full potential. Do Hyun's coffee cup shattered in his grip, hot liquid splashing across the table. He barely noticed the burn. They think we're animals to be caged, he said quietly, his voice carrying the deadly calm of someone reaching their breaking point. Our military intelligence suggests this isn't the first time they've done this, Sun Mi added, pulling up additional files. We found evidence of other species that were economically enslaved by the Council. Most of them were from high-gravity worlds like Earth. The minister stood up, walking to the window that overlooked Seoul's skyline. The city had changed dramatically in the 6 months since first contact. Alien architecture mixed with human buildings, and council ships regularly passed overhead. What had seemed like progress now felt like the bars of a cage being built around them. What are our options? Do Hyun asked, not turning from the window. Sun Mi's reflection showed a predatory smile. Admiral Han Sol and Lieutenant Ji Woo had their suspicions from day one. They've been quietly preparing contingencies. Our technological development hasn't been as stagnant as the Council believes. Do Hyun turned back to face her. Show me. The Colonel activated a secure channel on her military communicator. New holograms appeared, showing hidden shipyards and weapons developments that weren't included in any official reports to the Council. We've been reverse engineering their technology, while appearing to struggle with basic implementations, Sun Mi explained. Every trade ship they send gives us more data. Every educational exchange reveals more of their weaknesses. The Council thinks they're slowly bleeding us dry, but they're actually giving us everything we need to fight back. Do Hyun studied the classified projects with growing satisfaction. The Council's contempt for primitive Deathworlders had made them careless. They never considered that humans might be letting them think they had the upper hand. How long until we're ready? He asked. Admiral Han Sol says the fleet will be operational within 2 weeks. We've also identified key vulnerabilities in their economic network. When we strike, it won't just be military targets. Do Hyun nodded, turning back to the recording of Cottrell and his conspirators. They were still laughing, still congratulating themselves on their clever manipulation of the primitive humans. Send word to the Admiral, Do Hyun ordered. Tell him to accelerate the preparations. I'll inform the Security Council that we've reached the breaking point. He paused, allowing himself a grim smile. It's time to show them why Deathworlders survived all those evolutionary challenges. We didn't just evolve to endure hardship. We evolved to overcome it. As Sun Mi left to deliver his message, Do Hyun watched another council ship pass overhead. Soon, very soon, they would learn that humans weren't just another species to be subdued and controlled. The Council thought economic pressure would force humanity to submit. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. 3 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean's surface, hidden in an underwater trench that the Council's sensors couldn't penetrate, General Taiyang stood in the heart of humanity's greatest secret. The massive command center pulsed with blue light from hundreds of holographic displays, each showing different parts of the concealed shipyards that stretched for miles through the ocean floor. Workers in advanced diving suits moved between the massive vessels under construction, their shadows dwarfed by the hulls that loomed above them. The ships were unlike anything Earth had officially admitted to building. Sleek predators of metal and energy, incorporating both stolen Council technology and human innovations born from millennia of warfare. Status report, Taiyang commanded, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's future. All vessels report ready, General. His operations officer responded. The quantum drives are spooled up. Weapons systems are hot. Stealth systems are functioning at optimal levels. Tai Yang nodded, studying the tactical display. In orbit above them, Council ships patrolled lazily, their crews confident in their technological superiority. They had no idea that beneath the waves, humanity had built a fleet that could match anything in the Council's arsenal. Signal from Earth Command, the communications officer announced. Minister Du-hyun has given the green light. Operation Awakening is now active. Tai Yang took a deep breath, remembering all the sacrifices that had led to this moment. 6 months of pretending to be technologically inferior. 6 months of absorbing the Council's contempt while secretly preparing for this day. Begin launch sequence, he ordered. All ships prepare for surface breakthrough. The command center hummed with increased activity. Through the reinforced windows, Tai Yang watched as massive doors began opening in the ocean floor. Water surged through advanced containment fields that kept the pressure at bay while allowing ships to pass through. In orbit, aboard his stealth corvette, Captain Jun-ho received the alert that made his heart race. All hands to battle stations, he ordered. Prepare to witness history. Jun-ho's ship, the Shadow of Seoul, had been watching the Council's orbital patrol patterns for months. They had no idea that human stealth technology had advanced far beyond what they believed possible. His crew had endured countless close passes with alien vessels, gathering intelligence while remaining completely undetected. Back in the underwater base, Tai Yang opened a secure channel to all ships. This is General Tai Yang to all commands. Operation Awakening is now in effect. For 6 months, we have endured the Council's attempts to chain us. They thought they could cage humanity through economic warfare. Today, we show them why Deathworlders survive. He paused, watching as the first ships began rising from their underwater berths. Launch sequence initiated. Show them what humanity is capable of. The Pacific Ocean's surface erupted. Massive columns of water shot skyward as ship after ship broke through to the surface. First came the destroyers, their hulls gleaming with technology that matched anything the Council possessed. Then emerged the cruisers, their weapon systems already tracking orbital targets. Finally, the massive dreadnoughts rose from the depths, each one large enough to make the Council's ships look like toys in comparison. In orbit, Council ships began registering the disturbance. Their sensors, finally detecting the massive energy signatures, triggered automated alerts. Alien crews scrambled to battle stations, unable to believe what they were seeing. Jun-ho watched from his hidden position as panic spread through the Council fleet. Their communications erupted with confused chatter as they tried to understand how humans had concealed such military might. Shadow of Seoul to General Tai Yang, Jun-ho reported. Council ships are responding exactly as predicted. They're falling into disarray. Tai Yang's voice came back clear and strong. Excellent. All ships, execute Phase 2. Disable your stealth systems on my mark. Let them see exactly what they're dealing with. The human fleet rose into the sky, water cascading from their hulls as advanced anti-gravity systems lifted them effortlessly. Each ship was a perfect fusion of stolen Council technology and humanity's martial innovation. Where alien ships were elegant and streamlined, human vessels bristled with weapons and armor, designed not just to fight but to strike fear into their opponents. 3, 2, 1. Mark. Across Earth's sky, hundreds of stealth ships suddenly appeared, their cloaking systems disengaging in perfect synchronization. Jun-ho's corvette revealed itself alongside dozens of others, surrounding the Council's patrol fleet in a perfect containment formation. The alien ships froze, caught between the rising fleet below and the stealth ships above. Their sensors, finally showing the true scope of human military power, registered energy readings that should have been impossible for a primitive species to achieve. Tai Yang opened a channel to the Council's command ship. This is General Tai Yang of Earth's Defense Force. Your attempts to subjugate humanity through economic warfare have failed. We are not the simple Deathworlders you thought we were. The Council ships began backing away, but found themselves hemmed in by human vessels at every turn. The trap had sprung perfectly. "You will power down your weapons and prepare to receive our demands," Tai Yang continued. "The time for pretending to be primitive is over. Earth is awakening, and the galaxy will learn why Deathworld species are not to be underestimated." As the sun rose over the Pacific, its light glinted off the hulls of humanity's hidden fleet. The sight would be recorded and transmitted across the galaxy. The day the Deathworlders showed their true strength. The day Earth stopped playing nice. Operation Awakening had begun. The ESS Phantom glided silently through the darkness of space, its advanced stealth systems making it invisible to both sensors and the naked eye. Commander Yunji stood at her command station, watching the holographic display as her ship weaved between the Council's defense satellites. Each movement was precise, calculated to slip through the gaps in the alien sensor network. "Status report," she whispered, though there was no need for silence in space. Old habits from submarine warfare died hard. "All systems nominal, Commander," Min Seok replied from his tactical station. "Stealth field is holding at maximum efficiency. The Council's sensors are still blind to our presence." The bridge crew worked in near-total darkness, their stations illuminated only by the soft blue glow of their displays. The Phantom was one of 50 ships chosen for this mission, each one representing the peak of human stealth technology. They called it the Ghost Fleet, ships that existed in no official record, crews that were listed as retired or deceased. "Multiple contacts ahead," the sensor officer reported. "Council mining operation confirmed. They're extracting rare earth elements from the asteroid field." Yunji's jaw tightened. The mining operation was technically legal under the trade agreements, but only because the Council had buried the relevant clauses in thousands of pages of legal jargon. They were stealing Earth's resources while pretending it was fair trade. "Show me the target zone," she ordered. The main display zoomed in on the mining facility. Dozens of automated harvesters worked the asteroids while Council overseers watched from a central control station. None of them had any idea that death was watching them from the darkness. "Signal from command," Min Seok announced. "All Ghost Fleet vessels are in position across all 12 sectors. Awaiting your mark, Commander." Yunji studied the readouts one final time. 50 ships, 12 sectors, one chance to show the Council that their actions had consequences. The operation had to be perfect. No survivors, no witnesses, no evidence of human involvement. "Begin attack sequence," she ordered. "Match their shield frequencies exactly. I want this to look like an industrial accident." The Phantom's weapons powered up silently. They had spent months studying Council shield technology, learning its weaknesses. The aliens were so confident in their superiority that they used standardized frequencies across all their facilities. "Target locked," Min Seok reported. "Shield frequencies matched. Ready on your order." Yunji opened a secure channel to the rest of the Ghost Fleet. "All ships, this is Ghost Lead. Execute Operation Retribution on my mark. 3, 2, 1, fire." The Phantom's main guns fired precise bursts of energy that perfectly matched the mining facility's shield frequency. The beams passed through the defensive barrier as if it wasn't there, striking critical systems with surgical precision. The facility's reactor began to overload exactly as planned. Council workers rushed to emergency stations, not realizing that their deaths had been engineered to look like a tragic malfunction. "Secondary targets locked," Min Seok announced. "Harvesting ships are attempting to flee." "Take them all," Yunji commanded. "Leave nothing." The Phantom's weapons spoke again, each shot calculated to cause catastrophic system failures that would be indistinguishable from accidents. Across space, 49 other Ghost Fleet vessels executed identical attacks on similar facilities. "Confirmation signals coming in," the communications officer reported. "All sectors reporting successful strikes. No survivors, no evidence." Yunji watched as the mining facility broke apart, its pieces joining the asteroid field it had been plundering. In 11 other sectors of space, similar scenes played out with perfect synchronization. "Send the message," she ordered. Min Seok transmitted a brief burst of encrypted data, confirmation of their success, sent through channels so secure even the Council didn't know they existed. Somewhere on Earth, military command would receive proof that the Ghost Fleet had struck its first blow. All targets eliminated, Min Seok confirmed. No distress signals were transmitted. Council rescue ships will find only debris and evidence of catastrophic equipment failure. Yoonji allowed herself a small smile. The Council thought they could exploit us forever. They never imagined we could strike back without leaving a trace. The Phantom turned silently, its stealth systems still rendering it invisible to the universe. Around it, debris from the destroyed facility drifted in space, a warning that the Council would never be able to prove came from human hands. "Set course for the next target," Yoonji ordered. "The Ghost Fleet has more messages to deliver tonight." As her ship slipped away into the darkness, Yoonji thought about how the Council would react. They would find 12 destroyed facilities, thousands of dead workers, and billions in lost resources. They would investigate, suspect, but never be able to prove anything. That was the true power of the Ghost Fleet. It wasn't just about destroying targets. It was about showing the Council that humans could strike anywhere, at any time, without leaving a trace. The aliens thought they had humanity trapped in economic chains. They were about to learn that chains meant nothing to ghosts. "Message from Earth Command," the communications officer announced. "Next target coordinates received. Operation Retribution continues." Yoonji nodded, already studying the data for their next strike. The Ghost Fleet would continue its mission until the Council learned its lesson. Humanity wasn't just another species to be exploited. They were predators, and they had learned to hunt in the dark. The assault shuttle's hold hummed with barely contained energy as Captain Haijin looked over her team. 20 of Earth's finest Special Forces operators sat in silence, their advanced combat suits making them look more machine than human. Each suit was a masterpiece of human engineering, designed to function in any environment, from the vacuum of space to the crushing depths of gas giants. "Final equipment check," Haijin ordered, her own suit's systems running diagnostic scans. "Remember, we're about to show the Council exactly why Deathworlders are feared across the galaxy." The station loomed ahead of them, a massive structure that served as one of the Council's primary military coordination centers. Its defenses were supposedly impenetrable, its security systems unmatched. But they had never faced humans who had stopped pretending to be primitive. "Breach point identified," the pilot reported. "Their shields are still calibrated for heavy weapons. They never expected anyone to attempt a boarding action." Haijin activated the tactical display in her helmet. The station's schematics floated before her eyes, key targets highlighted in red. "Mission parameters are clear. We take control of the command center, secure their data cores, and show them how Deathworlders fight." The shuttle approached silently, using technology reverse-engineered from captured Council vessels. To the station's sensors, they appeared to be nothing more than background radiation. 30 seconds to breach point, the pilot announced. "All teams, prepare for insertion." Haijin soldiers rose as one, checking their weapons one final time. The rifles they carried looked primitive to alien eyes, solid projectile weapons instead of energy beams. But these guns were anything but simple, designed specifically to function in any environment and to penetrate Council armor. 10 seconds. May your ancestors guide your hands. The shuttle's hull pressed against the station's outer wall. Specialized cutting tools, designed to work without sound or heat signatures, began carving through the alien metal. Breach complete. "Go, go, go." Haijin led the charge through the opening, her suit's enhanced sensors already mapping the interior and identifying targets. The station's security forces, used to dealing with civilized species who fought according to Council protocols, never expected what came next. Human soldiers moved with a speed and aggression that seemed impossible. Their suits, powered by miniaturized fusion cores, let them leap across vast chambers in single bounds. Their weapons fired specialized rounds that ignored energy shields, designed by engineers who had studied Council defensive technology for months. "Contact front," one of her soldiers called out. A squad of station security forces rounded a corner, their energy weapons powering up. Hai-Jin's team didn't hesitate. Years of training on Earth's most hostile environments had prepared them for this moment. They moved like predators, using their superior speed and strength to close the distance before the aliens could react. The fight was over in seconds. Council security forces, trained to fight at range with energy weapons, had no defense against close-quarters combat with Deathworld warriors. "Command center is 2 levels up," Hai-Jin announced, checking her tactical display. "Team 2, secure the data cores. Team 3, lock down their communications. Main force with me." Similar scenes played out across Council space as 30 other human strike teams hit their targets simultaneously. Space stations, military bases, and command centers that had never known defeat found themselves facing an enemy that fought like nothing they had ever seen. Hai-Jin's team fought their way upward through the station, their progress marked by the sound of gunfire and the screams of alien defenders. Council forces, used to fighting according to civilized rules of engagement, broke and ran before the onslaught of human warriors who seemed to ignore damage and fight with impossible ferocity. "Command center doors ahead," her tactical officer reported. Heavy resistance. The massive doors were sealed and reinforced, guarded by the station's elite security force. Energy weapons filled the corridor with deadly light, creating a killing zone that would have stopped any normal attack. But humans were not normal attackers. "Show them how primitives fight," Hai-Jin ordered, activating her suit's full combat systems. "All units, maximum aggression protocol." Her soldiers charged forward, their suits' energy shields absorbing the alien weapons fire. They crashed into the defenders' lines like a tidal wave of ceramite and rage, breaking through formations designed to repel civilized enemies. The command center's doors, designed to withstand bombardment from energy weapons, fell to shaped charges that humans had perfected centuries ago. Station commanders found themselves face to face with creatures their worst nightmares hadn't prepared them for. "Station secured," Hai-Jin reported exactly 17 minutes later. "All primary objectives accomplished. Uploading data now." Across her tactical display, similar reports flowed in from other human strike teams. 30 strategic targets struck simultaneously, each one falling to warriors who fought with a speed and violence that shocked the Council to its core. As she stood in the captured command center, watching her soldiers secure prisoners and download critical data, Hai-Jin allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The Council had called humans primitive, had tried to chain them with economic treaties and technological restrictions. They were about to learn why Earth's history was written in blood and steel, why Deathworlders had evolved not just to survive, but to conquer, why trying to cage predators always ended in disaster. "Send word to command," she ordered. "Tell them the hunters have been unleashed." The message would echo across Council space along with reports of 30 simultaneous strikes that should have been impossible. Humanity had stopped playing by alien rules. The age of predators had begun. Sunlight streamed through the crystalline dome of the new Galactic Council chamber, casting rainbow patterns across the assembled delegates. The room no longer displayed the graceful alien architecture of the past. Now, it blended Council aesthetics with human design elements, a reminder of how much had changed in the past month. Ambassador Sung-ho stood at the central podium, his military dress uniform a stark contrast to the flowing robes of the alien representatives. Behind him, Earth's flag hung prominently alongside the Council banner, no longer relegated to the back of the chamber with other primitive species. Catril sat hunched in his seat, his once proud posture now subdued. The amphibianoid skin had lost its vibrant colors, turning a dull gray that reflected his species' emotional state. Around him, other Council representatives showed similar signs of defeat, drooping tentacles, folded wings, dimmed bioluminescence. "Let us begin," Sung-ho announced, his voice carrying easily through the chamber's perfect acoustics. "The terms of the new alliance have been distributed. We will now address any questions before signing. None of the alien delegates spoke. They had all seen the footage of human warships emerging from Earth's oceans. They had all read the reports of the Ghost Fleet's precision strikes and the devastating efficiency of human special forces. The species they had dismissed as primitive had revealed itself to be a sleeping giant. Very well, Sung-Ho continued, activating the holographic display. The terms of the new agreement floated in the air for all to see. Let us be clear about what led to this moment. We came to you offering friendship. We sought peaceful cooperation and fair trade. Instead, you saw an opportunity to exploit what you thought was a weaker species. Catral's mandibles twitched, but he remained silent. The evidence of the Council's economic warfare against Earth had been downloaded from 30 captured command centers. There was no point in denial. You thought our Deathworld origin made us dangerous primitives who needed to be controlled, Sung-Ho said, his calm voice carrying an edge of steel. You were half right. We are dangerous, but not because we're primitive, because we evolved on a world that taught us to survive by any means necessary. The holographic display shifted, showing footage from the coordinated strikes that had brought the Council to its knees. Human ships appearing from nowhere to destroy mining operations, special forces teams overwhelming station defenses, the Ghost Fleet striking targets that should have been impossible to reach. These are our terms, Sung-Ho declared. They are not negotiable. First, all restrictive trade agreements are void. Earth will trade freely with any species at fair market rates. Second, all technology restrictions are lifted. We have proved we can develop or reverse engineer anything you try to keep from us. He paused, letting the terms sink in. The alien delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Third, Earth will maintain its military forces at whatever level we deem necessary. We will not disarm. We will not accept limitations. We have shown that we can defend ourselves, and we will continue to do so. Catral finally spoke, his translator struggling to convey his subdued tone. And what guarantees do we have that humans won't use this military power to dominate the Council? Sung-Ho smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. The same guarantee you had when you tried to chain us with economics. Our word. The difference is, we keep our promises. We still seek peaceful cooperation. We still want friendship, but it will be on equal terms. The holographic display updated, showing the final terms. Earth would join the Council's ruling body as a full member. Human military forces would be recognized as legitimate. All attempts at economic warfare would cease immediately. Sign these terms, Sung-Ho said, and we can begin a new era of genuine cooperation. Refuse, and we will show you exactly how much damage a Deathworld species can do when pushed too far. One by one, the alien representatives approached the podium. Each placed their signature or biological marker on the agreement. There was no discussion, no attempt at negotiation. They had seen what happened to those who underestimated humanity. Catral was the last to sign. As he pressed his appendage to the document, he looked at Sung-Ho. We thought we were protecting the galaxy from dangerous primitives, he said quietly. We were wrong. No, Sung-Ho replied. You were right about us being dangerous. Your mistake was thinking that made us primitive. We're predators, Ambassador. We're apex predators who learn to build starships. Remember that the next time you think about breaking this agreement. The signing ceremony ended quickly after that. As the alien delegates filed out, Sung-Ho remained at the podium, watching them leave. Earth had won its place among the stars not through submission or acceptance of chains, but by showing the galaxy exactly what Deathworlders were capable of. The new order had begun, and at its heart was a simple truth. Humanity would never again pretend to be less than what they were. The apex predators of a Class 13 Deathworld who had learned to reach for the stars. Young Karith pressed her sensory tendrils against the learning crystal, absorbing the historical records with a mixture of fascination and fear. Around her, other juvenile council species gathered for their mandatory education about galactic relations. The subject today was one that always captivated students: the day Deathworlders stopped playing nice. The crystal pulse with images of massive warships rising from Earth's oceans, of human soldiers moving with impossible speed through captured stations, of the ghost fleet striking from nowhere. But more than the images, it was the lesson itself that sent shivers through her neural pathways. "Remember, younglings," her instructor's voice resonated through the chamber. "The humans tried to join us peacefully. They offered friendship first. It was our ancestors' arrogance that awakened the giant." On Earth, in a sunlit office overlooking the Joint Human Council Space Command headquarters, Admiral Jiwoo sat behind her desk, looking at the collection of medals and commendations that told the story of those historic days. Her granddaughter, Minna, sat across from her, working on a school project about first contact. "Grandmother," Minna asked, looking up from her tablet, "why did the council think they could control us? Didn't they know how strong humans were?" Ji-woo smiled, remembering her days as a lieutenant standing beside Admiral Hansel. "They saw what they expected to see. We showed them our older ships, our basic technology. They thought they were dealing with primitives who had just learned to reach the stars." She walked to the window, watching as human and alien ships moved through the sky in perfect harmony. What they didn't understand was that patience isn't weakness. They didn't realize that humans had learned long ago that sometimes the best way to win is to let your opponent think they're winning. Across the galaxy, in council education centers, young aliens studied the footage of Earth's awakening. They learned about the Ghost Fleet's precision strikes, about special forces teams that moved like demons, about warships that appeared from nowhere to reclaim stolen resources. In trading posts and space stations, veterans of those days told stories about human combat suits that made their wearers seem unstoppable, about weapons that ignored energy shields, about soldiers who fought with a speed and ferocity that defied belief. But the most important lesson, Ji-woo told her granddaughter, wasn't about our military strength. It was about understanding that true power comes from choice. We chose to offer peace first. We chose to try diplomacy. And when those choices were rejected, we chose to show the galaxy exactly what a Deathworld species could do. In the Council archives, the original signing ceremony played on an endless loop. Young diplomats studied Ambassador Sung-ho's calm delivery of terms that weren't really terms at all. They were declarations of a new order, backed by the proven might of a species that had evolved on a world that should have killed them. "The humans prefer peace," teachers told their students across council space, "but they excel at war. Never forget that they came from a world that tried to kill them every day. Never forget that they didn't just survive. They conquered their world and reached for the stars." The legend grew with each telling. In space stations and colonies, parents warned their children about the sleeping giant that the council had foolishly tried to chain. They spoke of the ghost fleet that could strike anywhere, of soldiers who moved like living shadows, of a species that had hidden its true strength until the perfect moment. Back in her office, Ji-woo finished her story as her granddaughter made final notes. "We never wanted war," she said softly, touching the old lieutenant's insignia she kept on her desk. "But we were ready for it. That's what it means to come from Earth. We hope for the best but prepare for the worst. We extend friendship with one hand while keeping the other ready to defend ourselves." Minna looked up at her grandmother, seeing not just the decorated admiral, but the young lieutenant who had watched history unfold. "And now, are we really friends with the council?" Ji-woo nodded, gesturing to the mixed crews working together in the corridor below. "Now we have real friendship, built on mutual respect rather than perceived weakness. The council learned that Deathworlders make better allies than servants, and we learned that sometimes you have to bare your teeth to achieve true peace." Across the galaxy, the legend lived on. In countless languages and forms, the story was told of the day humanity stopped playing nice. It served as both warning and reminder. Never mistake patience for weakness, especially when dealing with creatures who evolved on a world that should have killed them. For in the end, that was humanity's greatest strength. Not their weapons or their ships or their soldiers, but their ability to extend genuine friendship while maintaining the strength to defend themselves. They were living proof that being civilized was a choice, not a weakness, and that true peace could only exist between equals. The galaxy never forgot the lesson. The Deathworlders were not to be chained, controlled, or underestimated. They were to be respected, for they had proved that surviving on a deadly world hadn't made them primitive, it had made them unstoppable.